So part 2, we're going to do a question from Emina. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. She is asking, what advice can you give her, or can I give her? Because this question was sent in by a friend of hers. She's asking, what advice can you give her as to be more efficient with her time management, as she is having anxiety due to COVID-19 and having to quarantine. She feels like she is just wasting time being at home and doesn't feel as productive. She wants to know what steps she can do to manage her time better.
We kind of
So,
answered half of that question already. Get up
yes.
early, go
Mm-hmm.
outside, and get away from everybody because there's nobody out at 5 or 6 in the morning, and have some fun. Work
Mm-hmm.
out, walk around, if just sit in the parking lot somewhere. Do whatever you got to do to get some fresh air early in the
Yeah.
morning. You
Mm-hmm.
got to do that. I mean, that helped me more than anything. For me, it depends on I don't know where she works. I don't know what her job is. I don't know what her dreams are, what her goals are.
Right.
I can tell you that for me, um, I understand her question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I welcome the chaos, right? Because there are solutions in all that chaos. So what she has to do is she has to become a problem solver, right? She's like, what can she do to be more time efficient? Well, what are you trying to do? What is it that makes you think that you're wasting time? You know, it's kind of hard to answer that question, but I can tell you what I do. I always have a list and I'm always adding to it, right? But I don't just be like, okay, I'm gonna do all this stuff on the list. It's like when I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on something and I'm like grinding and it's like, oh, Facebook, oh, Twitter, oh, let's go over here. Oh, let's do over there. And I start daydreaming and then I start surfing. And then I'm like, wait a minute. And then now I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
I can
Gotta
stop.
prioritize.
I can
Mm-hmm.
stop, go look at the list and say, do the first thing on the list no matter what. And just start at the top of the list. Knock that out, knock the next one out. And then you develop a rhythm, because a lot of things on your list are easy things to do that need to be done, but they don't get done. And then they become hard things because you should have done them at the beginning. Right. So I'm looking at my list. I'm like, boom, knock that out. Boom, knock that out. Boom, knock that
Mm-hmm.
out. Then you're halfway through your list, but then more things keep coming on your list because you're always thinking, what do I have to do? So your mind is always working. And then you're gonna work on some things that you really love to do, and you're gonna work on the things you need to do, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna start daydreaming again. You know what I mean? You're gonna start losing it again, and then boom, right back to your list. Another thing, my whole concept is learn how to learn, right? So how do you learn how to learn? You know, how many ways is there to read a book, right? So there's an audio book, right? Or there's the AI software where you dump it in and it reads it to you in a human halfway computer voice. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, what happens is you end up locking in on it and reading along with the computer voice, and you
Yeah.
actually retain more information,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you could do that as long as it's somebody reading with you together. You're understanding it, you're reading with it. Sometimes you jump in, sometimes you don't. And for me, it was about podcasts, interviews. I was doing this before. I've always done this because when I do this, I'm practicing 6, 7 things at one time: storytelling, articulation for my voiceover, breathing. So my voice, I don't strain my voice, and I'm using my diaphragm as I talk to you. I'm talking to you in a conversational way. I'm not talking to you like a voiceover guy, right? That's one of the problems I had when I used to do voiceover in the beginning. And it just, you have to have things where you can get multiple solutions out of one thing. And that's what a podcast does for me. That's what, I'm a video editor. I do SEO, build websites. I do all these things so I can be self-sufficient in my business. So learning how to be a PR firm was just inspiring because it was something new that I had not anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sit and you focus and you start zeroing on your dreams, you start figuring things out. And it's just breathtaking because I'm acting, voiceover. I shot my first movie during the pandemic because my coach called me and she said, "You want to travel?" I was like, "Heck yeah. Where I need to go?" We went to Nebraska. So there was Nebraska. We could come up in here in Nebraska. We don't care. We ain't gonna be in no pandemic. Come up here and shoot. And Hollywood started going to Nebraska, and that was the week George Floyd got killed. And I was in the most peaceful environment with good people, doing the thing that I loved, while the world was burning around me. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that because that week I came back to Atlanta that Sunday. And it was Armageddon. I had never seen, that's when, Kemp bought in all the military. And I had never seen that many law enforcement vehicles combined with Army vehicles in my life. And I drove through my hood and they towed Buckhead up. And I'm just like, wow. And you could just see it happening, right? And, you just got to keep pushing. So I'm booking voiceover, right? And the first thing I did in the pandemic, I said, what are you going to do? See, that's what she has to do. She has to sit down and say, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. What do you want to do? And I went through several things like, you can't do no shows. We're not doing shows for a couple years. You're not doing no shows. Kill that. That's your main income. So you better figure something out. Acting is sporadic. You don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? The industry shut down, but this is still here and always going to be here because they're always going to be selling some stuff, whether it's a pandemic, zombie apocalypse, whatever it is. People are going to need to have commercials to sell stuff, right? And at that time, everything was a COVID commercial. So I said voiceover. And what I did is I reinvented myself and I went back to day one, because every class that I've taken, I record. And I went back to day one of voiceover and had to hear myself 10 years ago, hear my 10-year ago self, try to learn voiceover as a baby, right? And knowing my hubris, I was thinking it was the coach's fault because it was difficult and I couldn't get it. Excuse me, right? So I'm thinking, because I've always just thought that I could do anything. And I'm thinking, okay, I can whoomp, there it is, my way through anything, right? And not this. And I'm thinking it's the coach's fault. And I'm running all over the country trying to find different coaches to get better at it quick because it's not working the way I wanted to. And hearing myself just talk and some of the ignorance that I had inside of me because I was working in clubs and I was in an environment that wasn't conducive to doing things in regular society, right? So I'm in the rap world. And the rap world is different from the business world. But I'm thinking I can float between both, and it's difficult. So I looked back on that and I heard my first ever script that I read, and tear just almost came to my eye because it was so horrible. And I was just, it was heartbreaking. But at the same time, it was inspirational because I was like, let me do this over and listen to their direction and listen to what these people was trying to tell me 10 years ago when I thought I knew something that I didn't know nothing about.
Yeah.
And I redid it, and it was angelic because I took their direction and it just was so beautiful. And at that point, I had command over and mastery over my voice. And I went through 42-hour voiceover sessions from maybe like March to the beginning of April. And instantly I started booking. And all the weaknesses, I filled all those holes and strengthened all those weaknesses. And that, in the beginning of the pandemic, is what got me through. So what she has to do is she has to sit down and say, what have I always wanted to do that I just never did because I either quit or never thought I could do it? This is the time to do it. We're a year in, so it's a little bit more back to reality now. But
Yeah.
if she's still going through it, there are so many things. I know we have a lifetime of things that we want to do. And I vowed at the beginning of this pandemic that I do not want to leave this earth wishing I had did something.
Yes.
So now I got tutors. I got tutors for music production. I got tutors for music theory. I'm learning everything I wanted to learn. I've got people to teach me how to do all of it because I've learned how to learn. Like, another byproduct of this pandemic is that half the teachers in this country were like, I'm not going to teach them nasty ass kids. I'm not. Right. And they jumped online and started tutoring and figured out they could make more money tutoring. So now you got Harvard professors, you got real quality teachers out here tutoring, and you can get access to them and they can work with you one-on-one. One of the sites called wyzant.com, WYZANT. Anything you want to learn, there's 100 people that can teach you and teach it to you well.
Yeah.
Right. And that is how I elevated my game. I got better. You might have 3 or 4 things in something that you do that just have always stifled you, and you just couldn't figure them out. So that's why you didn't really move forward in it. And I get on that, do an hour with somebody, and now I'm humming because it was simple. I just had to ask somebody.
Yeah,
Right.
we can all teach each other
We
something.
can all teach each other. So that's the goal. That's what has turned into being my life mission now. And also my responsibility, because I've been blessed, is to talk to everybody and anyone who's willing to listen and tell them my experiences and my knowledge and put them on game like I wish somebody had done to me when I was a young man, right? My parents did a great job raising me, but they couldn't tell me about music publishing in the music industry and snakes and all
Right.
that in music, right? There's certain things that they taught me. They couldn't teach me about finance, but my father gave me the best finance lesson in the world. He said, son, he said, always spend less than you earn, pay yourself, put the rest away. I was like, yeah, okay, Dad, I got you. I wasn't trying to hear that. I was trying to ball back then. But if I had listened, it's simple, right? The things that I thought I wanted and the things that I bought now don't mean anything. And I realized back then they didn't mean anything. It's just that I was trying to keep up with everybody else because I'm looking at but that's what that's what happens to impressionable minds. So that's why I try to steer people in a different direction and say, trust me, do it the reverse way. Save it all now and ball later.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody buys into it, they'll realize later it done left them. They're not even trying to ball. They realize how dumb it is to ball, right? You can have a good time and you can have fun, but it's more important to just be secure, right?
Right.
And these things happen and you just got to keep pressing forward. So I hope that young lady is listening and just decides to, whatever you want to do, go to an organization and then start calling people inside the organization. And one of my tricks is, it's not a trick, it's just a tactic. If I want to learn something, back early 2000s, I wanted to know finance. I said, I don't want to ever be taken advantage of as far as money goes ever again. Because, I was in the record industry and we got, right? Not as bad as a lot of people, but still,
Mhm.
we made mistakes. And I'd take full responsibility for those mistakes. And I don't mind being wrong. Actually, sometimes I love to be wrong because I know that being wrong is on the path to being right.
Mhm.
And
Learning
you'll never
experience.
be wrong in that again, right?
Mhm.
So I became a licensed commodities broker, right? Still working in the clubs, still doing shows, but I learned how I passed the Series 3 exam and I'm official licensed commodities broker because that's how bad I wanted to learn about finance. And then I was like, I want to learn even more. So I'm gonna pretend that I want to be a hedge fund and go to all these hedge fund banks and people who do the books for hedge funds and who make hedge funds run and use my celebrity to get in the door.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm about to have a hedge fund and I want to know why I should let you guys run my hedge fund. So what you do in essence is you make them teach you while they're pitching you, right? They're pitching me and I'm like, well, yeah, but what about this? They're like, no, well, we have the numbers for that and we could do this, that. But if you do that, how am I going to do this? And you just got to be on point with your questions and ask them in a way that they don't know that you're seeking the knowledge, and they're pitching you and they want your business desperately. They don't gave you the whole game. I do that all the time when I want to learn something. Go to an organization, do the same thing in those organizations. There's always somebody that wants to run their mouth about how good they do their thing. And all they're doing is teaching you the game while they're satisfying their ego. You use people's weaknesses, not weaknesses, but you use people's hubris and sometimes weaknesses against them and let them be themselves, and they'll tell you everything you need to know because they're in that organization for a reason. They're professionals. That's how we used to get shows. I was trying to get shows from booking agents and it was like, well, you guys only got one song. And I was like, well, okay. When joined International Entertainment Buyers Association, found out the hierarchy of the whole concert and entertainment industry, right? I thought it was just doing shows in clubs and maybe an amphitheater every now and then. It went from the buyer to the venue to the big booking agent to like Live Nation to the venues, Hard Rock Cafes, and to rodeos and to tribute bands. And I learned that there are so many ways to make money in this industry and nobody's even looking there. But they don't just let anybody in that industry. They don't mess with rap. But I introduced myself as a clean rap act. When I said clean, they were interested. Now we're doing shows at rodeos. We're doing shows at state fairs. We're doing shows at Ice Capades. We're doing shows at casinos. We're doing shows, cruise ships, Hard Rock Cafe, everywhere. It's such a variety of we're the only ones that can do stuff like that because we established that we're a clean nostalgia 90s group. And then we got Whoomp, there it is, of course, but still. And all this has led me to now with Geico, right? And Geico they were looking for me and couldn't find me. The first attempt, they called my phone when I didn't answer. But because I had been through that experience back in 2011 with Barack Obama, and they thought Obama was in our video, and everybody was trying to find me and couldn't find me because we didn't have a website up, we didn't have no web presence, we didn't have if you can't be found, nobody can give you money, right? And I vowed that would never happen. So I embarked on a journey to learn SEO, search engine optimization, which is if you type in Google, you need to be able to find me. 5 years ago, you type in Google tag team, everything was wrestling. You type in tag team today, everything's tag team. You see what I'm saying? Because I just wiped the internet clean. I did all my Wikipedia pages over. I did every aspect of information that people would go to find. If they go get 20-year-old information and then they do a video on me and say, yeah, he does this and he's got a ponytail and he does that, I'm like, wait a minute, that was 20 years ago. Right. You see what I'm saying? So the young lady who asked that question, it would behoove her to get like me because I got so much going on. I don't even see questions like that. My problem is I got so much going on. I have to have time management, right? You have to have you got to get so busy that the art is the art of handling chaos as opposed to the art of handling nothing to do. I think she's lacking imagination, right? She's got to sit back and say, what is it that I've always wanted to do that I haven't done? And then start doing it and don't quit. Because I guarantee you that will lead into other things that she never thought would be possible. Now you got so many threads going that now you have to practice time management because to be able to get to all of it and be efficient at all of it, if you don't, you saw what happened today. Today was the first time I slipped in years. That's the first time. It feels like I felt, I was like, something I didn't do today. There's something that I was gonna do and didn't do, and I know it's happening today, but I can't think of what it is. And then when you called me, I was like, oh, I take pride. I take pride in being on time, and I take pride in being professional. And I apologize to you dearly for not being professional and wasting your time today because and you know, it was a fast thing too, because we didn't really meet till this morning. I was like, what you doing today? I got you. You know, that's just me in the middle of hustling. You know what I'm saying? But usually I cross the T's and dot the I's, right? And I didn't take and put it on the calendar so I can get 5 alerts ringing me and bugging me saying, hey, you got something to do, dude, right? I'm in the office depot sitting in chairs trying to find a new office chair. And when you call me and I'm like, wait a minute. And I felt so bad. That's why you getting everything I got right now. And I hope your listeners are happy because I could go for 5 hours, all the game I got for people. But
this is Cecil says today.
you know what I'm saying? That, yeah, and it's beautiful because people think it's just going to be a rapper talking about him being a rapper. And this is a grown man trying to help you get your stuff together so you can live the life that I've lived. And you create your own blessings. You know, you heard the term create your own luck. You create your own blessings too. You know, my father told me a long time ago, he's like, you can pray all you want. You can pray for rain all you want. You can pray for this. You can pray from that. But if you don't get your butt up from under that apple tree, Lord can't do nothing for you, right? And I give all praise to my parents because my mother had me stemming collard greens and shucking peas when I was 5 years old. Then my grandmother taught me how to make lemon pies in the 2nd grade and chess pie. And then that summer, I was a skinny kid at the beginning of the summer and I was a fat kid at the end. Right. And then in 4th grade, my mom had me cleaning chitlins. So, and cleaning windows and cutting the grass and cutting the lawn. And if I didn't go to church on Sunday, we couldn't play. Right. There was consequences to not doing things.
Yes.
Right. You don't have to beat your children. You just have to take things. You have to let them understand that there are consequences if you don't follow through on things that you're obligated to do.
Absolutely.
That's the best lesson that you could give anybody. Because I guarantee you, I used to love to play football on Sunday. So I will go into church. I was an altar boy, actually. I was an altar boy, so I didn't have to be bored in church, and I was always doing something, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm serious. I did it, and it made me the man I am today because I do not fear work. I do not fear going hard. I play offense. I had a paper out when I was 8. I was working at the college, the AV person, wheeling around the projectors and the TVs, the classrooms for classes. Then I worked at Dolly Madison Ice Cream. Then I worked at PJ's Pasta. Then I worked at Tony Roma's Ribs when I went to college, right? And then that's how I learned, I learned how to chef. I was trained by executive chefs. I cook better than most people's mamas, but all the women in my family taught me how to cook. So I knew how to cook when I was 10 years old, right? I mean, cook, right? Like,
put some meat on your bones, cook.
Meat on your bone, like, hey, don't get me started. Bust them oxtails over rice with collard greens, macaroni and cheese, candy yam, cornbread. Don't get me. And then what you want for dessert? You want a peach cobbler, banana pudding without the bananas or with the bananas? What you want?
With the bananas.
This girl came, she's like, man, I want some banana pudding without the bananas. I was like, I got you, boo. And made her banana pudding without the banana, and she was so happy. But she don't realize what I did was I just food processed the bananas, make them smooth,
flavor.
And you didn't miss anything because just having vanilla wafers in the custard, that's just too sweet. But that banana flavor is what makes banana pudding. But a lot of people don't like to eat them bananas like that.
Yeah, so especially when they get older.
Yeah. So I pureed it up, and she loved it, and she thought she was eating banana puddings without bananas and didn't even know.
Wow.
So, just hopefully the young lady who's listening got something out of what I was saying, and hopefully she can find her way and make strides to live the life she deserves.
All
'Cause
right.
she's already probably where she needs to be. We get bored, you know,
Yeah. Gotta
especially
prioritize.
now. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got priority. You can't let because the situation we're in make you think that you're doing something wrong. I mean, how many times are we gonna sit weeks on end, 24 hours a day doing nothing?
Yeah.
That don't happen. This is all new. Well, it was new, but I wasn't. I was out there. But see, I live in Georgia. They really never shut down. So, you know, I was like, when they opened back up, they shut down for 3 weeks, and I was like, let me roll by the gym, just see what they doing.
Hmm.
And it was open. There was nobody in there. And I was like, man, let me run up in here. Ran up in there with my mask. They took my temperature check, and I was back in the game. Because that's all I need to do every day is just work out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm up. I work out acting, and then it really never shut down as far as movies and stuff too. I was doing a lot of auditions during the pandemic,
Hmm.
so I was fortunate, right? I just can imagine being in New York in a skyscraper, cooped up like that. Now that will mess you up because
Yeah.
that's New York City. I mean, it's just, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Atlanta, you can at least go in the woods. You can just you go in your backyard and be in the
Yeah.
woods, and
Yeah.
then come
Pretty
out by the
much.
highway in a mile. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like you can go on some
Mhm.
adventures down here, So this is like the perfect place to be. And I can't imagine LA because you really can't go outside because the homeless problem is huge there.
Mm.
You don't know what people gonna do to you out there. So it's like it just depends on where you're at. And I'm just glad that I was blessed enough to uh, just be able to get through it and take advantage of it and flourish in it. It's about adaptability, right?
Mhm.
What are you gonna do? You got to be able to adapt. That's
Yeah.
life. You
Yeah.
know, she's probably
Mhm.
been through so much stuff in her life that she's adapted to and been successful. But you're gonna
Mhm.
let boredom be the thing that messes you up? You know what I'm saying? Because that's all it is to me, just boredom. If there's something you want to do that you've always wanted to do, this is the time to do it. It's still the
Yeah.
time to do it.
Yeah.
You got to work and keep your day job, but you get to work at home. But
Mhm.
then see, it's perfect for me because I work at home anyway. Been working at home for 10 years.
Yeah.
But I enjoy being by myself because I've been a DJ all my life and I be around tons of people. And then I'm an entertainer and I'll be in stadiums and stuff. I'll be around people all the time. I get tired of people. When I get to be by myself, I am so happy.
Love it.
I'm the happiest I've ever been. So hopefully I provided some value for you this evening. And
Yeah, I think
if
so.
you ever want me to come back and you got some good questions you get stumped on, just call me and I'll be right here for you.
We appreciate your time. I'm so happy.
Mhm. Yeah. This is nothing what you thought it was going to be, huh?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna help me answer some questions, but I decided to let you, in all your
Yeah.
wisdom, just take it over because you have
Yeah.
a lot to share. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hey, I put people on game. Just you got to think differently. If you don't, there are so many. Everybody's success story is different, right?
Mhm.
There's nobody who's done the same thing that's successful in the same thing. It's like they got there a different way than you did. So why not even think?
Yeah.
Why not think like that? Why not? Everybody's trying to do the same thing. That's why so many people fail. It's the people who like, okay, let me try this over here and see what it takes me. And you in a roundabout way, it takes you where you need to be. And then you network, you meet people, you
Hmm.
you get yourself out there. You never know who's listening to this.
Yep.
And they might get my information because everybody asks me at the end of our podcast, so where can they find you? It's like just type in my name because I do SEO and I've laid good breadcrumbs. You type
Mhm.
in DC Glenn, you're gonna find me. It's that simple. You type in tag team, you're gonna find me. I can be found. Type in Scoop, there it is. You type in Geico, you type in any of those keywords, you're gonna find me. So that's how people find me. And I'm willing to help people, but I'm not gonna give you the whole game. I'm gonna test you. I'm gonna give you a little piece, give you a
Mhm.
little piece of chicken to see how you eat it. And if you just take a bite and be like, "No, this is good, but I want the whole chicken." Nah, I'm telling you, I try to help these young hip hop artists, and DC put me in the game, man. I was like, all
Mhm.
right, and I got a folder. I said, give me your email. And I sent them a photo. I said, there's a book in there I want you to read. And if you don't like to read or can't read, there's a video in there for you. And when you finish it, hit me up. We'll talk about it. And I can tell you 95% of the people don't hit me up because they all want to be stars. Mm-hmm. And they all go through the same thing. And that one book what that one book will do for them is make sure that they will never be taken advantage of in the music industry. Mm-hmm. And that's worth it. But they want a ball. They want a party. They want the women. They want the cars. They want the jewelry. When they could have just read that book and understood what they could have had it all and kept it all and turned it into more money and more money and more money just from the mindset. But that's being youthful. And, you know, we as the elders, I'm not going to say elders, we as the more mature can't hate on young people for being young. That's the worst thing you could do. That means you're just old and bitter. What you worried about them young folks for? You know, you got your own problems. You worry about them. Worry about them. Like, why they doing what they doing? Why you in their business? They young. They don't know no better. You the one got the experience, and you worry about what young people doing, right? No. But
ignorance of youth.
Yeah. I like the fact you was a marriage counselor. That's a good thing to be. You've seen it all.
Yeah. That's why I end up switching to career coaching. That's what I do now. And because I saw a correlation between people's work happiness and then their marital satisfaction.
Yeah.
So so there's a big correlation.
Because when times get hard, that money get
finances,
funny. Yep. Oh, that's the one thing that will crush them. If you got a spouse that love to spend money and another spouse is fiscally fiscally responsible, it's over. It's not over, but it's going to be a hard slog. It's going to be a hard slog. The love is there, but there's so many outside forces because of the habits that it just wears them down, and it just wears them down. Yep. And some people can overcome it, but a lot of people can't. And I've seen a lot of people that can't. And it's just a couple simple maneuvers. It's just about taking responsibility, right? Like, if I want to spend money, then let me figure out a way to do what I want to do and not affect somebody else who was in it with me, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And it can be done. But if you just want to spend money and just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, those are the lessons you make when, they come to college and they say, I got a credit card for you, free money. Those are them mistakes right there. That's when you make those mistakes, because everybody's made them, but not when you are age, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of people, it happens to a lot of people, and, they get through it, and, sometimes it makes them stronger. I just imagine you've seen all kinds of scenarios. So very interesting. A very interesting topic and a very interesting play on how you switched it into something else. But see how you do, you switched it up, and now you're helping people be better, and that can only just bring you blessings. So I wish you well. You want me back on, I'm always here for you. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Y'all take care. Sprinkles.